What's your foundation like? How is your morning routine? How is conversation with your APs going? Are you connecting with the group? Have you attended a coaching call, right? And it's like, no, not really. Then we got to be like, all right, bro, like, come on. We're here to get you to where you want to be, but if you're not moving, some self-assessment might be due.
Everyone reaches a low point where like, I need to do something now or I'm gonna go crazy or whatever it is, right? I'm afraid I'm gonna become this sicko pervert guy if I continue my compulsive behavior. That was mine, honestly. That's what scared me. I don't want to be some sicko, right? Go to jail or some or get to that point. So what are your low points, right? Like maybe, you haven't reached a low point yet. Has it hurt you enough to be like, oh, I need to change? And yeah, it's also taking responsibility. A lot of us want to justify our negativity. I think that's big. We want to justify why we should stay this way. And there's a secret pleasure to that. But when you think about it, like, yeah, I want to justify how, or look at me, right? It gives me attention. They're pitying me. That's what I'm willing to pay the price for. This cheap ass feeling of, yeah, look at me. They're pitying me. They're reaching out to me, rather than them taking the power and be like, you know what, Chris, you know what? I should forgive myself. I should stop punishing myself. I should take responsibility. I should transcend this. I just don't know how. Maybe that's it, right? But they have to admit that. But it takes courage to do that, and some form of awareness. If you're not doing the morning routine, then it's pretty hard to kind of get to that point. And morning routine is reboot time, guys. It's not specifically in the morning. That's what we mean by morning routine. But morning routine sets your day, to anchors your day. But reboot time, if you set 30 minutes a day over 4 years, dude, you become a fucking different person.
I'm all about progress, right? Like nobody just goes from, 100 to 0 or 0 to 100. There's always a gradual process. Even you becoming addicted didn't happen overnight. It was from 0 to 10 to 15, all the way up until. What I'm saying is that if, like, let's say you've been here for, 5 years or something. First of all, you just lost 5 years of your life. Like that 5 years is gone. And what I want for all of you guys who are watching this video is to actually be happy and be successful. That guy who went from using 10 times in 1 week to using once a week, he made excellent progress, but he's still using. And so, like, of course, everyone's going to go their own course and it's going to take as long as it can for some people. But for those individuals, I still want them to be successful and get the success that they want themselves. They want to stop using. And so it's like, how do we get from going from 10 times a week to 5 times a week? Okay, great. Now we're at 5 times a week to 1 time a week. Now, how can we go from 1 time a week to once a month? And et cetera, et cetera. But if you've been in the same spot,
right,
the same exact spot for years,
regardless of time,
years, and you're just kind of going through the motions, but you're doing everything correctly, then something is wrong. And we want you to get to that point to where you're able to stay off of it and stay clean and reap the benefits and be happy and be confident, be successful, get those girls that you want, make that money that you want, have that mental peace and clarity. You want all these things, don't you? Because that guy who's still using once a week, once a month, he's still suffering. I guarantee you he's still in pain. I know guys who literally have been off of for over a year and a half. They used 1 time and they're still feeling that 4 months later. And so this is why I harp on this so much, is because I just want guys to get to the top. And when I say the top, I mean the very top. And like we talk about having a rock bottom, we talk about being in a situation to where, you've reached level 0 and now you want to climb up. If you're in this program and you paid all this money and you've decided to be with these experts, then you've reached rock bottom probably. And we hope that you haven't, because the rock bottom can be extremely low. But the point is that you've already made a decision, a financial decision to get here. So let's push you to the top, whatever it takes.
If you make the topic of weird, you're going to come across weird, even though that's not your intention. But that person is like, oh, this guy still has some shame and guilt around that. I'm going to stay. It's going to make me feel that way. So the fact that we could just have an open conversation, like, hey, I would just talk about my past to anyone, right? When it's the topic, I'm like, yeah, I used to struggle. Or even when I mention what I do, I'm like, yeah, I help men through their addiction journey, and I guide them, make sure that they're okay and that they're on the right path. And because that's legit what I do. And I don't have no shame talking about it. But before I'll be like, oh, how do I'm gonna, if I start thinking, how am I gonna say this to someone? They're gonna think I'm weird. Oh, I work with people that they touch themselves, and that was a client, and man, I feel all this shame, and I don't feel like that anymore, right? And I know you guys don't either. But the fact that we could have an open discussion about where different types of clients could be and in different stages of their reboot, right? When they're ready to leave, when they shouldn't leave, and that's okay, right? None of it makes them a bad person inherently. It's just that you're right. Some, like Dom says, some people need some kick in the ass. Like, hey, bro, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're wasting my time. You're wasting the group's time. You're not being a productive member in the group. We're like, hey, yeah, I'm struggling. Actually, I just feel indifferent, like this type of attitude. Okay, I've been there, right? I could relate with that because I've had that attitude. And what do I need there? I need someone to hear me out and I'm too prideful to ask for help, right? And to this day, I still kind of struggle for different like help, right? To say like, hey, I need help in this area because I feel as a man I should be able to handle it, right? That still creeps up in my mind, and that doesn't, again, I'm aware of it, and I'm not gonna put myself down for it either. So I think that type of awareness is key to develop during your time in the group. Like perspective, since I've been in this like recovery right world since 2017. Then I moved to the reboot stuff, and I learned different perspectives. And I learned that it's not a moral issue. It's more like a brain thing. That okay, there's science, right? And all this gave me perspective, right? Like this big spectrum of yeah, I could learn so much to this day, right? I could still learn how different people respond to different types of coaching and words. And for like people respond differently to Dom, and they love it. To me, to Chris, to Milan, to pick your coach there.
As far as any words of encouragement regarding the long-term aspect of this, I think it might be worthwhile to throw in some perspectives about that, So again, just something.
Oh, it's cool.
Not fluffy, like it's all gonna be great. It's like it's gonna be this is a long-term game, as we've stated multiple times during this discussion. A couple things in mind just to get the basics out of the way. One, you're not alone in this struggle. You're not the only one who has worked through this unhealthy behavior. You're not the only one who is currently working through this behavior, and you won't be the only person struggling with this behavior. This is a worldwide thing that many, many people of all different backgrounds and levels of need could use assistance with. But good on you for actually putting the skin in the game and doing something about it. Now, if you are a brother who is concerned with the amount of time that it might take to fully rewire your brain, you're looking and listening to 3 individuals who have in fact done that. So we understand that, it is possible. It won't be easy, but if you're sticking with the system, if you are following what is taught to you, if you are putting in the work consistently, even on the days when you think you got it all figured out, even on the days when you feel like you don't want to, even on the days when, life is getting in there. Life is not going to stop being a life just because we're rebooting. You know what I mean? We're not just looking to quit. And while that's a big factor, we're looking on switching up our perspective on our lives. I still do the feelings exercise to this day, and I've been involved in the group since September of 2020. I still value my sense of self-awareness that much that it's a habit that I keep up. I could stop perhaps if I want to, but I know myself well enough that this is what's healthy for me. It is not just a behavioral change, it is a lifestyle change. It might not be easy, it won't happen tomorrow, and maybe not the day after that. But if you're staying consistent with the system, you'll find results. So that's all I gotta say about that.
It's a form of self-love, right? Doing all that.
Yeah, discipline is self-love in motion. That's what it is.
I would say, honestly, with the whole, because it does take a long time to recover, but understand that you're not going to go from your first day of recovery to your last day of recovery the same. You're going to see a lot of improvements within yourself, and it's honestly very, very exciting. Like, I made a post when I reached 90 days, and JK remembers this. And I literally was in tears writing this post because of like how different I was as a human being. And then after that, he interviewed me on my 90th day. Well, not on my 90th day, but after I reached that point. And he was like, man, it's like talking to a totally different guy. And we're talking about being 3 months in. That's not even a quarter of the amount of time it takes to recover. So do you see how much room for improvement there still is? How exciting is that? It's like, that's unbelievably great. Like, imagine having a situation to where like this part of the coin is destroyed. And this part of the coin is where like everything's all good. And you go from here to here without seeing any improvement. That would fucking suck. But instead, you're going to see a lot of linear, I mean, maybe not linear, but you're going to see a lot of improvement over time. You're going to notice that, man, I'm better in this area. Man, my emotions so better here. I'm so much more confident around those girls. Man, like I feel like when I talk, I speak in a more clear way. I don't have brain fog anymore. I'm able to like work in a more productive manner. All these things are going to end up improving over time and keep getting better and better. And it's exciting. It really is, because every single one of us, the reasons why we're recovering and the reasons why we're going to get through it when times get tough is we have something that we want on the other side. Totally different life, a totally different way of being. Everything's just totally different. And when you see those things come into fruition as you keep going in your recoveries and your rebuilding, your rebuild capital and all these different things, it's exciting, it's fun, and it keeps you going. And so the progress is one thing that, like, yeah, it takes a while, but it doesn't just go from 0 to 100. There's a gradual process, and you'll be able to taste some of those fruits before you end up getting to the very end anyways. So, keep that in mind. It's like, it's not like you're going to suffer the same throughout the entire process. No, it's going to get easier. It's going to get better. It's going to be a lot more fun. You're going to be a lot more happy over time. Just trust it. That's all.
Yeah. Let's go. Thanks for sharing, Bob. That's really good. It's just really the mistake I made, at least in the beginning, is thinking it's attachment to the time. Like, why am I so attached to 2 years anyway? Like, I've been in it, if I was being honest, I've been in it since, like I said, 2017, from when it comes to like, quote unquote recovery world to 2020 is where I felt like I noticed a significant change. That's freaking what, 3 years? So I think it took 3 years anyway. When I did the reboot system, obviously it amplified it within a year and a half for me. But having said all that, why are you so attached to the time? I asked yourself, why am I attached to the time? Who am I trying to impress? Like, why is it that I have this ego thing? It's like when I first squatted 315, like that was cool, but time goes on and no one gives a or only I care, right? But the process to those 3 years of what, when I felt like, wow, I see I'm okay. I know I'll be fine. I know I changed my life. That it was the journey that took me there that I felt like, whoa, I actually went through all that hardship, through the tears, through the coaching I did personally on my own, because there wasn't any at the time for no. And then Elevated Recovery didn't have these coaches at the time. So I took my time and money and spend it somewhere else because I knew I needed help, right? So what is it that you're not doing? Like, what is it that you're afraid of looking at? Is it letting go of your comfort? Yeah, that sucks, right? That's homeostasis. We want to go back to that. But greatness, greatness is on the other side of fear. It really is. Like, what are you afraid of? A better life, right? That sounds silly, but we are so attached to the negativity, and this is all we know. That for brothers that are just there at a stuck point, just take that leap of faith, right? Talk to one of us, post more in the group, right? But actually say, or have the intention of like, I'm ready to face, even though you don't know what it is yet, say, I'm ready to face this. I'm ready to know. I'm ready to face my fear that I can't see yet. And you're speaking that. And trust me, your subconscious mind will bring that up to you. And you'll be like, whoa, I'm drawn to Milan. I'm drawn to Chris. I'm drawn to Bam or myself, Dr. Jessica, right? You're going to be drawn to someone. And that's how it works. At least from my experience, I'm drawn to people where I'm lacking in my life. I'm drawn to people that could help me. And it's up to me to decide to make that choice or not to improve. So those are my last words there.
What's going on, brother? Thank you so much for tuning into this edition of Slips to Success. If you like what you saw, feel free to let us know down below in the comments. What was your favorite part? What was your biggest takeaway? And what will you be working on based on what you saw in this video? If you've got a question, feel free to ask us with the hashtag #SlipsToSuccess. And for all we know, it just might be the topic for the next time we do this. Stay tuned for next week's edition of us breaking down tips and techniques to bring you from slips to success.